a great honor that we're privileged to have again, like I mentioned before, Mr. Mittleman to come and to give us a different Cyrus. Should not be decided, it should be again his words, my rest, it should be the aims to help us to go from the Cyrus to the glory. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, I do that every time when I'm either some public speaker. I give Shabbat L'Haidorah to the Rebbeinu Shloim. I thank the Rebbeinu Shloim, which we have to behalf HaKoros HaToiv, for giving me the chance to greet Yaakov Avinu. So you will know how. My wife and I almost didn't come back. We were almost going to be counted in the 6 million that we lost now in the Holocaust. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu helped us. We survived. And if you ever learn the Pasha, I said that Yaakov Avinu came to Mitzrayim to ship his milfet. Baruch Hashem, Yaakov Avinu, I got you beat. And Baruch Hashem, we're further than that. And for that, we owe the Rebbeinu Shloim tremendous HaKoros HaToiv. And we do that every day. But when I'm in public, I do it in public. First, a little correction. In the book, I don't know whoever gave this information to whomever, I have to correct a little bit. The story there that it tells about me that in 1944 in Birkenau, a group of us young boys between the ages of maybe 18 and 22, except for one gentleman, were watching the fires coming out from the crematorium. We were only about a half a mile away from it, and the chimney was rising there. It was in the evening, after we completed our work, whatever we were doing. And we were talking in a depressed manner. We said, Rebbeinu Shloim, is it possible that we will ever leave this Gehenna? So there was a gentleman among us who was about 32 or 33. He was Jewish. And before the war, he committed some crime. And he was locked up in the Warsaw jail. The name of the jail, I remember like today, was Pawiak. And he was standing there as we were talking bitterly. And he said, I don't know about you guys. Why are you always complaining? Because I'm happy I'm in Auschwitz. So we looked at him, we thought we lost our minds. So he says, hold on. If I wouldn't be happy, where would I be? I would be in Auschwitz. So I am going to make the best of it. And that reminds me, excuse me, can I have my beer? Thank you. That reminds me on the pshat that I once heard. You are all familiar with Nochem Ish Gamzu. Every time something happened, he said, Gamzu l'toiv, it'll be good, it'll be good. I heard somebody interpreting the word a little bit different. He said, Gamzu, also that would just happen to me, l'toiv, I am going to make the best of it. And for American boys is, if the Rebbeinu Shloim is going to give me lemons, I'm going to make lemonade. You're familiar with this. So based on this Gamzula Torah, which I learned at that time from this man, of course I never believed that I would be able to be out of the camps and use this, but it became my motto for the rest of my life. Baruch Hashem, that no matter what happened to me in all the years, since then till now, I'm always able to say, Gamzu l'Torah. We'll find a way. We'll live with it. Which reminds me of the Pashas Vayishlach. Everybody is familiar with the story that Yaakov Avinu had a little fight with a Malach. It says the Sarah Shel Esau. He was wrangling with him the whole night. In the morning, the Malach had to go away. So he went and he kicked Yaakov Avinu in his knee, his thigh. And then he went away. And the Pasuk tells us, Yaakov Avinu b'hutzolea al yarechor. He was limping. He was walking and limping. He was hurting. The Malach just kicked him. He had sciatica now. And I don't know how many of you had it. You ask your father, he'll tell you how much it hurts. I had it once too. He's hurting. And take a look, a few psukim later, says, Vayovoy Yaakov Sholom Shechemo. Yaakov Avinu came to Shechem, Sholem complete. Oh, he's Yaakov Avinu wasn't whole. Yaakov Avinu was aching. He was limping. Why does the Pasuk tell us he was whole? Something doesn't jive here. So the Altogether Rebbe says, Pshat, that Yaakov Avinu was the first time in his life that he suffered pain. And when he came to Shem, he was Sholem. Now he was a complete human being, because now Yaakov Avinu, you know how a person feels when he's hurting. We in this world live here and everybody has pain. We have problems with parnasa. We have problems with family. We have chas v'sholom sick children. We have marital problems. There's a list long, death long. But everybody has a problem. And until now, Yaakov Avinu was not showing because he never had a problem. But now, he understood what it means. If Mr. David Snow will tell him, "Oi, my foot hurts, I can't walk," he understands it. And that goes for all of us. We live in this world where we have to get acquainted with the other person's sorrows. A person has to be a noisei b'ol chaveroi. You have to feel the ache of your fellow Jew. How many of us have a neighbor who has a sick child, or somebody who lost his job? And there's a million cases. It's the job that the Bonshlan imbued in us, that if you want to be a whole human being, you have to understand suffering. The Torah brings down the Pasha Shema. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Hundreds and thousands, if not millions of Jews died with that pasuk on their lips. All Yiddish mamas, God bless them, are teaching their little baby when they're 2 years old, a year and a half, before they go to sleep. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. very, very important pasuk. You find in the Pasha Vestana. And how many times do you think do we find in the Torah the word Shema Yisrael? Once. An important pasuk the Jewish people lived by, Jewish people died by, one time in the Torah. Take that Seres HaDibros. Is there anything more important? It's the basis for all our Yiddishkeit, for all our Torah. The Rebbeinu declares, I'm your God. How many times in the Torah we find it? 2 times. Yisro, verse 1. Very important 2 parshas. That's it. Now, talking about suffering, who knows here on how many times in the Torah we find mentioned Yetzias Mitzrayim? Important mindset, Yetzias Mitzrayim. Good. I was in Auschwitz. Over 50 times the Torah mentions Yetzias Mitzrayim. You make Kiddush Friday night, Zecher Yetzias Mitzrayim. You make Kiddush Yom Tov, Zecher Yetzias Mitzrayim. And you know how many mitzvahs in the Torah are always reminded of? Zucharto ki evet hayiso b'Mitzrayim. Remember, you suffered. You are a sufferer, so now that you are out of Mitzrayim, you have to have understanding for other people who also suffer. If a person comes to you and he's in trouble, you have to show him Rachmanas in your heart. You have to understand them. You know why? Ki evet hayisu be'eretz Mitzrayim. And the Rebbeinu tells you, Unoichi Hashem Elokecho asher haitzesi eska be'eretz Mitzrayim. There is not a spot in the Torah. There is not a mitzvah in the Torah. I mean, the few exclusions that we are not reminded that we have to be, that we were in Mitzrayim, that we suffered. And if you're a sufferer, you will have understanding for other people who also suffer. And this is the completion of that makes us human beings in this world. Supposedly, Gittayim. You have to understand that if somebody suffers, you have to feel sorry for him. If somebody needs money, you have to help him. All these things come under the heading Now, those of you who are disappointed that I'm not telling stories from Auschwitz, I think our rabbi did a wonderful job and really didn't need the speakers here because he mentioned all the tzuras there, but Pamela. Nonetheless, there's a lesson to be learned. The lesson is you can go around the whole day. If you have a problem, you can become depressed, you become mean, people might not be able to talk to you, and you can say, Gam zo l'toyv. Also this, also the tzoras that I find in myself in now, l'toyv, I will make the best of it. And that's the basis, what I think that a human being should have in himself. And somehow, this guy from the Paviak in Auschwitz taught me that all my life, you can check with my children that I'm telling you the truth, I never complained. I have never said to one shloim, why me? Why did you have to put me to Auschwitz? Because we are human beings and we don't understand the Rebbeinu Shalom ways. Moshe Rabbeinu, the biggest leader by Jewish people, the biggest rabbi from whom we learn everything, never could understand why the Rebbeinu Shloim is doing certain things. For example, Rosh Hashanah, Tzadik Harav. Why is it that you find sometimes people who are such righteous people and they have nothing but sorrows and calamities? And on the other hand, you will find something tzaddikim, fine Yiddish Menschen who do nothing but good, and things don't go so well. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to understand why. So he said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hareinu nu es kvodecho. I want to understand you. Explain it to me. Why is it if I'm a Gitter Yid, I have tzuras, and the other guy's not such a Gitter Yid, or we think he's not, and he's doing Baruch Hashem. So you are all familiar with the answer the Rebbeinu gave him. V'ro isu es achoirai. You want to understand me? Do you want to understand how God runs this world? You cannot be a living person and understand God. If you take everything that occurs to you in your daily life in the beginning of Gamzula Teva, whatever Hashem's word gives me, I will make the best of it. Then you'll be in crowd one. You'll never have a problem. I see people who came up from the camps. Some of them cannot utter a word about the camps. The other ones say, I've never sat down with my kids and talked to them about it. I never made a movie to report what I suffered. And you'll find others who have an easier time and they live with it. The question is, Vochai Bohem, to live with Hashem's Borach, what He gave you, with a clear moyach. Understanding Hashem's Borach gives us things the way He sees fit, not the way you or I think that I deserve. And finally, we see today in the world, that breaks my heart. Take a look at a city like New York, like Detroit. There is so much chesed going on. I don't know how many of you are familiar. There's organizations in New York that spend hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm not saying a guzma. We have an organization that takes care of children with cancer. What is it called? High Lifeline. I don't know if you have an idea what these people are doing for the sick children. We have organizations that are called in New York Nesastim, which is the same as Kava Kedusha Ba'asmata. We have organizations that run around in hospitals in New York, see to it that everybody has a meal on Shabbos. People who go around and distribute packages. There's so much chesed. So you turn around to the Rebbeinu Shalom and says, Rebbeinu Shalom, when is Mashiach gonna come? We can't do any better than we are doing. We are doing terrific. So one day I thought the answer might be in Pashas Yisro, when the Jewish people were gathered to get the Torah, there is one particular pasuk that probably is familiar to everyone. Says, "Vayichan shom Yisrael neged war." The Jewish people rested there opposite the mountain. Rashi on the spot jumps right in. He says, what do you mean by Yichan? Vayichan is only one person. There were hundreds of thousands of Jews. He should have said Vayachnu. Tells Rashi on the spot that there was Ish Echad B'Echad. There was the only time when the Jewish people were like one man in one heart. There was Achdus. There was togetherness. That was when the rabbi mentioned before, Ahavas Chinom. Don't look for a reason why I have to love you. Ahavas Chinom. We have to l'reach l'kolaychu. Rashi brings right down on the place. That was the only time. Never happened again about any other Chanukas. It's my feeling that we, in addition to what we do with the tzedakah and chesed, will live up to this Rashi, to have a havas chinom. It's in the drei Wochen. It's Tisha B'Av. It's when the Beis Hamikdash was Chorov. And at that time, we also remember all the tzuras the Jewish people went through. And the Holocaust. If a havas chinom would be here, somehow, muftach li, I am so convinced in my heart that Mashiach will be here tomorrow. And that's what I urge the Oilam to search for. Ahavas Chinom. And I don't want you to be disappointed that I didn't mention anything about Auschwitz, because I leave this to my two other guys. I just want to mention that in 1944, this is just to point out the Pintalayit. I have to underscore to you that not too many people in Auschwitz were the Klausenberger Rebbe. There were Yechidei Segula who did miracles, who mamish didn't eat a piece of treif. I don't know how they lived. I know the Torah tells you, they were allowed to eat the treif, but there were Yechidei Segula. The Klausenberger Rebbe was one. The Bluzhever was another one. And there are few Yechidei Segula. Most of the people that I know in the younger age group, excuse me for using that language, threw away the Rebbein Shalom with everything else. It wasn't existing anymore. There were exceptions. I had a brother who passed away 22 years ago. He was in Auschwitz. Said every day the Igeres Rambam in Auschwitz. Every day. So there were Yechidei Segula, and the ones who came back empty-handed. We picked ourselves up. If we had some help from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I don't have to tell you, take a look at America today, as the Rambam mentioned, there is not a city, but there is not a koilil. It all grew from the She'eres HaPlato, for it was left over. This is how what America looks like today. And I once mentioned to the rabbi how it looked like when I came to Detroit. Excuse me. As I mentioned, in 1944, in Birkenau, Rosh Hashanah, we organized a minyan. We got some guys watching the barracks on one side, other side, the other side. When I was a child, I used to sing by a chassan. I was on the Moshe choir. And Baruch Hashem, I had a very good head on my head. And I learned a lot of tefillos by heart, which I know even today. So I was the chazan. And I was saying Hineni by Mustafa. It took about 5 or 10 minutes. All of a sudden, an assessment, I remember his name, Unterschar Führer Wunsch, walked in and took out his pistol from his holster and shot above my head. And he said, "Was ist hier, ein Geider?" I don't know where he knew the word Geider from. But one thing I can assure you, He did not aim with the bullet at my head, otherwise I wouldn't be here telling you the story. So of course we all dispersed quickly and had an argument with the guys who were supposed to be the watchmen outside, the so-called watchmen. Points like this, I can probably speak to you about the whole evening, but I have two more gentlemen who are just waiting that I should disappear here. So I just want to wish you all that the Rebbe should help us, that this should be the last issue for us, that we should be zoicher to have the strength to become Yidden who live with the Havas Chinam, who don't love the other Jew because he lent me $100. No, stop because he's a Yid. Achenu kol beis Yisrael. And with this, I end, and I wish you a good evening. And like I said, I hope this issue will be the last one to be able to see. Thank you.
Ich glaube, dass die Urban, die Cyber weiter.